Well, hey everybody, hey, how's everybody doing tonight? On this Friday night, we've had a beautiful day in the ATL today. It's been a real good day, and we've come through a weekend that was a first for many. And so tonight, I want to talk about tonight. We want to talk about church tech talk. Let's talk about church. Tonight, I want to talk about live streaming and talk about again something that was a first for a whole lot of people this weekend. It was not a thing that they were used to. It was a thing that was a first. Most churches were, how can I say, for lack of a better word, they were forced into doing some things that they've never done before, as far as live streaming or streaming from a church from the pulpit with a empty church, or from their home or their office or wherever. Was an unusual situation for most, because it's something that they probably had never done before or never imagined or thought that they would have to do. And so, but I want to. I'm not going to be long tonight, but I wanted to take the time, and those of you, please, hey, Sis Adams, please share this. Uh, uh, Cooper, thank you. Let me say, I have to applaud those of you that have never done live streaming before. You never done video before from your church or whatever, whether you're a large congregation or small congregation. Let me applaud you. Let me say, from the things, and most of the things I've seen was very impressive, to the extent of what you've never done before. And so that is something that I have to say before I get started here tonight, is that it was very impressive. I've seen a lot of people that were very creative in what they did. A lot of people, I'm sure, they had to scramble at the last minute, because when they broke the numbers down from 250 to 50 to 10, a lot of people had to scramble to get things done and to do whatever they were going to do. Some churches are already set up for streaming, where they could live stream from the sanctuary, especially. And some of them, they were more or less ones that taped services and sold them, but they had never done live streaming or videotaping or whatever. So to me, that was very impressive to see those of you that maybe you're not tech savvy. Maybe you don't have anybody in your church that really is, but you were able to pull it off, whether with the iPad, whether with the iPhone, or whatever it was. You did it to the extent that I think Facebook got overwhelmed. I don't think they were ready for as many people that were live streaming as they were. And YouTube handles it a little bit better, but sometimes Facebook can't handle when they're overwhelmed with live streams. But for the most part, again, I've seen some very impressive live streams. I saw some people ministering from the pulpit with nobody in the audience, and they were able to maintain what I would call the attention of maybe those they were ministering to, and to stay on point in ministering, as you're ministering to a church that's empty. Then there were those that stream from their house. There were those that stream from their office or whatever. Tonight, what I want to do is I want to give you just a little bit of information that I think will help you as we move forward in times to come. Being that we don't know how long we're going to be out of our churches or sanctuaries, I want to give you some things that maybe you can work on to enhance what you're doing for the next week or so, or however long it's going to be. There's some of us that have been doing this a while. Matter of fact, the reason I'm sort of comfortable in doing it is because I came off of TV. I did TV here in the city for many years, and also I did TV on a national a TV station. Attorney Willie Gary and forgot the baseball player. They own this station, and I did TV on there for many years. And the local station that I was on here, before they got involved in maybe the streaming, I came off of TV here strictly to go streaming, strictly to do streaming on YouTube and Facebook. I came off TV, uh, said I'm done with TV, and there are those said, "Well, we miss you on TV." And the reason I did that was because TV is a great thing, and we see how great it is. But one of the things that I recognize about television, and that is if I'm doing a program on TV, if you know today it's better because people can record it, but if they forget to record it, if I'm doing something on TV and people don't record it, if it comes on at 6 o'clock and they're not home at 6 o'clock and they don't get home to 10, if they didn't record it, then they have missed that particular program for that day. They missed everything. So if I used to come on Saturday nights at 11:30, so if I came on at 11:30 on Saturday night, and if you were asleep or you missed it, then you didn't catch me to the next week because there was no replay on TV because they charge for whatever they do. So I came completely off television, and what I did was when I came off of TV, I went strictly to YouTube, uploading my videos on YouTube. I looked strictly to Facebook. And when Facebook Live became available to everyone, I did a lot of that, and then also YouTube. So now what we do is we stream to Facebook, to YouTube, to Periscope, and also to Twitter, and also to our website. So we brought that up to that place. And so for those of us that have been doing this a while, we're sort of used to live streaming. I had someone just text me a few minutes ago and say, "Hey, Marcus," and just ask me, "Well, what kind of camera are you using? Because your picture is very clear." I had a pastor call me yesterday, said, "I just need to know, what are you using? Your video is clear, it's crisp." And so that comes as a period of time of studying and watching what we do and what's going on, and getting the things we need to do to be able to stream, and to use what researching Google and all of those YouTube, to get and find out what is the best things to use to be able to do these things. So that's what we've done. And again, I say you're to be commended for what you've done. But let me share with you just a few things that I think will enhance. For the most part, what I seen from church was pretty good. It was in some cases people had openings and closing. In some cases they didn't, but they came on and you could actually hear. One of the things I want to stress to you is that the next thing you need to work on if you're going to do streaming, work on your sound, work on the sound, because you want people to be able to hear what you're saying. Because if people can hear you, more than likely they'll hang with you. If they can't hear you, sometimes they'll pass you by if they can't hear you. Or it's like listening to a recording. If the recording is distorted, you don't really listen to a distorted recording. I can't stand if my stuff is distorted. It bothers me to no end. So a distorted recording, something that you can't, you just don't do it. And so I want you, those of you, to work on your sound, work on getting a sound, whether you pipe the sound in straight from your PA system, or whether you get it where you can run a lapel mic to get the sound. Whatever you can do, you want your sound to be. You don't want it to be where if you're holding a iPad or a video camera, you don't want it to be where everything else is louder than you are, or they cannot hear. Because if you're speaking, they need to hear what you're saying. They need to be able to hear what's coming out of your mouth, and that's important. So I want to stress that to you, whether it's church, or whether you're doing it in your living room or your office or whatever. It's important to do that. And then whatever you're taping on, whether it's a camera, whether it's your iPad or whatever, make sure that it's stable. And what I mean stable, that it's not moving and you holding it and moving back and forth. You need to make it to be stable. So, because sometimes when people hold in the thing and they doing back and forth, we have to admit sometimes, you don't watch those very long. Sometimes you do, but sometimes you don't. So you need to make it where it's stable. If you're at home and using the iPad or iPhone, get you something that will that can stabilize what you're doing. It's on the other side of the room. I ain't gonna even try to get up and go get it. But get you somewhere that can stabilize what you're doing, so you can be stable. I'm using some right here, right now. You can't see it. My sister Leslie gave me this to me years ago, and if you can see it, that's just a little plastic thing. I use that for my iPhone. I have used it when I videotape, but most of the time I use it just to set my iPhone on it so I can watch. If I'm watching comments, I can watch them just by putting that on there in front. But if I was taping or if I was doing anything, I can use that also. So you need to get something that will stabilize your video. So sound, getting something that will stabilize your video. Sound is very important. Now, another thing that you may need to do, if you are going to be using it in your home, you let's see. I've got this. I got this from the $5 store, and this is a ring light. And if you're gonna use your iPad, see how it lights up. If you're gonna use your iPad, you can at least it's off now, and then it's on. That's low, and then it's on again. That's high, and then it's on again. See, and so you can use that to put on your iPad. And I don't have my iPad in here with me. Well, let me use this. Maybe I'll let you see it on here. Um, okay, on the iPhone, you can see I'm looking at myself, but on the iPhone. And so if I was using this on the iPhone, it lights up, and so it can bring a little light if I'm close enough, or if you're using it for that purpose. Um, Again, I got this at the $5 store. Uh, that's where I got it from. So you may want to look in to get. They've got bigger ones that you could use. My son has one that's it's big and sits on a thing, and you can hold it up, and he can put his camera right there, his iPhone right in the middle, and do stuff right in the middle. So you may want to look at doing something like that, using something like that. Um, Another thing I think, and I say that because we need to, if you're going to do it at home or do it in your thing, if you're going to do it with your phones, you need, if especially if you're dark like me, sometimes you can get by with it, but you need a well lit area where you can, where it lights up. You need to get either a portable light or something. Started looking into it, and get you a light to light yourself up. You can't see it, but I've got lights in here. I got two lights in here. That's what you see lighting me up. So you need a light. You need some light. And then I've always said this, and let me say it again. Those of you that are dark skinned like me, you cannot do a white background, even if you got lights, because it's going to make you look darker. You don't wear white shirts and white t-shirts when, if you go to the studio, most of the times, if you got on white, they will tell you don't wear white. They'll tell you, I've done many times where I've hosted shows or whatever and hosted on sets, and they say don't wear any white, wear a colored shirt or this or that. You don't wear white if you're doing video, even if you're doing live, because against this is going, the contrast is going to go, it's going to make you darker. So you don't want to do that. Don't do that. Don't wear white, and don't get a white background. If you see most of my videos, you hardly ever see me against a white background. All my backgrounds are colored, or you never see me with a white shirt. You always see me with some of color on, because it helps the picture. It helps the picture. And so I need you to understand that it helps the picture. So you need to do that, especially if you're dark. Get rid of those white backgrounds. I mean, find something else, put something behind you, or go somewhere where the background is of a different color and use it that way. And that'll help you with doing that. And so, again, most of you done real good. Now, let me say, for us to understand that when we start talking about streaming, live streaming, if you're doing it at your church or if you're doing it at your house, if you're doing it on your iPad or whatever, there are two ways to stream. There are two types of streaming. There's Wi-Fi, and then there's what they call hardwire or the Ethernet cord. And so understand that if you do that, now I've been on my computer. Lord bless me to get um, a new Mac. It was really a blessing, y'all. I have to tell you about that another time. But I was on my Mac, and so I was uploading some stuff yesterday, and I was wondering why is it taking so long for this stuff to upload? It usually never takes this long because I got enough speed to get this up. This should upload within a matter of seconds or 2 or 3 minutes, but it was saying 18 minutes, 30 minutes. I was like, what in the world is going on? Well, tonight, just before I came on, I was testing the speed to see what the speed was, and it was saying 300 up, 300 down, and 23 up, and I'm like, what is going on? So then I checked, and I noticed that on the computer I had Wi-Fi on instead of the Ethernet. And so what I did is I changed over to the hardwire, what they call the Ethernet, and then I tested the speed, and it showed me my total going down was 900, and my total going up was up was 900. It's really 1,000. So that makes my speed better. So I get less buffering when I do that. And it may have been that way Sunday because I was looking at my thing Sunday and I was like, this thing buffering or something. But now I understand because I had not switched over to the proper connection. So what I need you to understand is Wi-Fi. When you use Wi-Fi actually, that's why sometimes you see people's broadcasts and they pixelate and then you see the picture and then it jumps and it looks like it's jumping while they're talking to different things. Is because on the Wi-Fi, and most times Wi-Fi doesn't give you a solid connection, but sometimes you can't help that because if you're doing it on your phone or your iPad or whatever, that's the difference. So you need to be able to check your speed on the on Wi-Fi. I use a thing called speed test. So you need to be able to test your speed to find out what is your upload speed. Now understand the download speed is not that important when we come to streaming. It is the upload speed because it's the upload speed. A lot of people, before I got more speed, when I would do my live, sometimes I would be agitated and really bothered because it didn't do what I wanted it to do, or it was get out of sync or whatever it was. And I was like, what is going on? And then I was watching, you need to watch some of these video shows and people that do video live. That's what they do, and they teach classes. So I was watching a couple that does things, and he mentioned some about what was it, fiber internet, and I started checking in the area and found out that I could get it, and their speed was higher than just my normal cable speed. And so I got that and made it dedication. I dedicated it to my computer that I stream on and whatever streaming I'm doing. So I know I've always got the proper upload speed to get out things where it won't be going through all those changes. So understand that Wi-Fi, you got to check and see. But if you're doing Wi-Fi, whatever you got, do what you got, use what you have. But now if you've got the ability, if you're streaming from a computer and you have the ability to do hold on, let me see. Let me get this. I'm gonna have to get up and get this so y'all can see it. If you have the ability to do Ethernet, then do it. Hold on a moment. Let me get this. Okay, I'm back. Now this is a Ethernet wire. This is what is plugged in to my computer coming from my cable or my, I guess, the cable box. Now you can, most cable companies have one of these. You can get it. So this is what a hardwire. This is when we say you hardwire your computer. This is what we're talking about. This is what gives you a stable connection better than Wi-Fi. So you need to, so y'all can get a look at that. You need to check on getting something like that because it'll help you in your streaming, especially if you're doing something from your church or doing something live or whatever. You need to be able to do that and get your upload speed to where it needs to be. It's going to cost you less as far as buffering and stuff. It's going to give you a clean thing. All right, Cooper, I want to ask you to what kind of camera do you use? Your picture is clear. Okay, crystal clear. Right now, I'm using a Sony. I think it's the HD90 or something. I don't know if they even sell these. I know they got a new one that came out. It's a little bitty camera. It fits in the palm of my hand. It's not a video camera. It is a camera that's actually used for taking pictures. It's a camera that I bought for taking pictures. I bought it for vlogging. That's what I bought it for, because the back of it flips up and you can, go and talk like a camera, and you can tape it and then go back and do video editing on it. But I bought it for that. And I was getting ready to sell it at one point, and then I found a way to get it mounted and use it. And so I started using it for that. So it's actually not a camcorder. It's a DSLR, what they call them, I think. And it sits right here. And I think last week, let me see, can I do this again? I don't know if I can actually do this. This is my other little thing here, and I don't know. I got this new computer, so let me see if I can. I'm gonna see, can I bring this over while I'm streaming and see if it'll let you see what I'm using. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna see, can I put it, Cooper? I'm gonna see, can I put it right there so you can see it? That may work. Okay, here we go. That's what I'm using right there. That right there is what I'm using. That Sony camera, and you can see it. That's what I'm using. I know you see my other camera there. I did some video with that today. That's my Canon, and I'm going to use. I'm getting ready to do a promotion with that. So I use that when I want to do some other stuff. It gives me that background that's wonderful, and the video is crisp. It's clearer than this camera. So that's what I'm using, the Sony, and so you can look at that. Right there is the light. That's that's an umbrella light that I'm using. I've had one or two more of those. I don't know what the other one is. My son was using them when he used to do videos, so I have no clue. That there is my other light that I'm using. That's a LED light, and I use that so you can see light and everything. All right. So now, you asked, do I have to have a capture card? Not in what I'm using here, simply because I'm using a thing on that's to Apple called Ecamm. I also use a thing called Wirecast. Wirecast is on Apple and on Windows. You can use that on Windows also. A lot of churches use Wirecast. I see them. You can tell, because you can tell what is what. I found out a lot of churches are now using Ecamm, which I really didn't. I was really shocked. I saw a lot of setups. If you go on Facebook and look on, you can join some of these groups, Wirecast and Ecamm, and you'll see people's different setups and stuff. So you can do a lot with Wirecast and a lot with Ecamm. Right now, I'm using Ecamm. I'm looking at y'all stuff on my phone, but actually on screen, I can see everything that y'all saying right here on my phone. On the screen, should I say? I can see everything y'all saying. So let me show you that I can see it, and to show you how powerful it is. Let's see. Um, just what you just asked me. You see it right there. Now I'm gonna stretch that out and make it a little bigger. I'm gonna bring it up, but you can see what you said and what you asked me is now on screen. I can drop it on screen so people can see it or watch it. Another thing that you're able to do with this particular program, at least, you're able to take if you create lower thirds, or you got people that have created lower thirds for you, you can use this. Let me find something over here that I've maybe created. When this first came on, y'all were looking at this right here. This is what I created for when I want to do some stuff. So here it is. That's my um, that's my overlay. That usually I'll put a countdown on it or whatever. I haven't put it on this one, but I use that, and so you can do a lot with that. Um, okay, I've got a Canon Rebel. Um, you know what? I tried to do live streaming with my Canon Rebel, and what I found out in studying it and watching stuff on YouTube. YouTube is a great thing to find out about anything. Today, my Canon, matter of fact, today my Canon, I was in trying to record and trying to do some things with it, and I couldn't figure out. And in the midst of recording, it kept saying that that the movie part shut off. So I went to YouTube and typed in movie part shut off automatically, and come to find out that what it was is I was using the SD card that I was using was not fast enough for the camera to write to. So it was only doing 30 when I needed to do 40. So I had a SD card that was 32 uh, gigs, and I was able to put that in, and it did 70. So when I put that in, it resolved my problems, no problem at all. So what I found out with the Canon is that if you're using Canon for live streaming, most people will tell you, and you can go on YouTube and type it in and find out. What I found out is most people tell you that Canons are not made for streaming. They're made for video. They're made to do video. And I mean, when I just did something that I'll be broadcasting, and I sit here and did it with my Canon. Man, the picture is so clear. It looks like it's HD TV. I mean, it's clear as a bell. It's just nice. But when it streams live, it only streams at a certain resolution. I don't even know if it streams at 720. It may be, and that may be just with the model. That's a T5 or whatever I got. That may be with that model. I don't know if that's just with that model, but I think it's with a couple others, and that's most people's complaint about Canon and the Rebels and stuff, is that they're not really set up for live streaming. And they tell you that basically the cameras that are really for live streaming are Sony cameras, that they're the best when it comes to live streaming. So you might want to check that out. You used to use Restream for your first time last night. Yeah, Restream is a great thing to use. Now, even here, right now, I'm only live to Facebook at this point. But now, here's the amazing part. With Ecamm, it automatically records my whole thing that I'm doing live. So if I wanted to upload it later on somewhere else, I could. It holds everything that I'm doing. It makes a copy, it makes a recording of it automatically. But if when I get through with this, if I wanted to upstream this or upload this to YouTube, it gives me the option to upload it to YouTube. And when the people on YouTube seeing it, they're thinking I'm live. They don't know. And so it gives that. But Restream gives you the ability, of course, to stream to multiple destinations at one time. Now, on Sunday mornings, I don't have to use Restream because I use a thing called Boxcast. And Boxcast gives me the ability to stream to everything, including my website. So if YouTube went down, if Facebook was not working for a whole Sunday, if I could direct people to my website, then they're going to be able to get my whole message or whatever. If you went to my website right now, if you went to our church website, RRCOGIC, you'll find different things of videos of services that you can click. I think the last one you probably won't see because it's only for live, but anything else you can go back a couple of weeks or whatever and see our services. Then that not only but Boxcast records it also, so I can download it and use it somewhere else at another time. So there are various ways, but of course, Restream is excellent. I've used it a couple of times when I've done things, and one of the things that it does, especially if you've got a Mac and even if you've got Windows, but especially a Mac, because when you're videotaping or streaming, Mac uses high CPU. And so what you need to do if you're using Restream, what Restream does is it takes that one signal that you're sending to Restream, and then it distributes it out to all the platforms that you are connected to. Like, for instance, when I use Restream, it goes to Facebook, YouTube, and to, I think it's Twitter it goes to. But it goes out. And what I found out when I do it that way, usually there are no drop frames. There's no, if the CPU goes up, it's not high, but there's no drop frames, which means if there are no drop frames, then there's no synchronizing problems with your video and your audio. Now, sometimes you have to remember when you're streaming, especially, I don't find the problem too much on YouTube, but I do find it on Facebook. When you stream on Facebook, once you get through streaming, it says that your video will be available shortly. So it's taking it through the process of getting it available. And sometimes it dummies it down, even though they say you can look at it at 1080. It dummies it down to the 720. And when you get it down in that area, sometimes because also the audio, I think Facebook is 44.1, and sometimes you may be doing it at 48, and so it may get it off a little bit. Sometimes people can't tell it, and sometimes it may be with what they're watching it on. Sometimes they can't tell that it's off slightly. So you have to understand that that's another thing that happens when it comes to that, and so that's important. But anyway, I wanted to again come on just to share with those of you. Great job this weekend. Those of you that did it for the first time, wonderful job. But just wanted to drop a few things to let you look at a couple things. Look at stuff like your lighting, at your sound, your speed, your upload speed, which is most important. Download is okay if you're downloading stuff, but that upload is what you really need to concentrate on. And if you got good upload, then you're going to have a good video, and it's going to go out in a good way. All right. Well, I want to thank you all so much for joining me. I hope that this has helped you. I hope that this has blessed you in some type of way tonight, and to help you to do those things and to be able to have a good streaming, whether you, because I think now most people, I think the whole thing has changed. I think streaming has changed. I don't think anybody, any church, any ministry, any evangelist, anybody, I don't think you are ever, you're welcome. You're welcome. I don't think we're ever going back to the way we did church or the way we've done ministry. I think streaming is here to stay. Let me say this, and I'm going to be done with this. Years ago, before, now on TV, they have these things called, what is it called? What are those? I can't think of it. When they're having, you're welcome. Hey, niece. When they have the, man, what are those things? Anyway, I can't think of it. But Storage Wars. That's what it when the storage bins. Now, before they got on TV and that became a show and became popular, I used to go to auctions every week. I used to go to the auction every week. I used to get the newspaper in Atlanta. I would get the newspaper. When I would get the newspaper and go, I look up. There was an auction section, and they had the whole thing of when all the auctions were going to be. And there was one particular one I would go to because it was, there was a difference when you had to go and pre-bid or have a bid. But then those that were absolute auctions, that means you could just bid whatever the price. You could start wherever. You didn't have to start. They didn't start off at 2,500. And so I used to go every week. I used to get the paper on Sunday. The only time I would get the paper on Sunday, cut that out, and look at the auctions I was going to go to. I went to IRS auctions. I went to auctions where they sold video equipment. Matter of fact, during the day when Elder Pass, Elder Pass was doing some at his church, I had bought during that time, these video machines that they were using at that time. And these machines cost about, I think they cost a couple of $100. And I was able to get, to buy one at the auction. One auction I went to, I was able to get it for $15. And it was good. It was in good shape. It was running. And when I was, Elder Pastor told me he needed one. And I told him I had one. I took it. When I went to run revival for him, I took it. He got the chance to check it out and whatever. And he paid me for it. I ain't gonna tell you how much he paid me, but he paid me. He did. He paid me for it. I've bought video machines, video games. I bought a car or two at the auction, and then turn around. I mean, I bought one car. I think I paid like $100 and some dollars for it. It was a station wagon or whatever. And the only thing was wrong with it was the dashboard. And I went to a couple of junkyard, but I couldn't never find that particular model. So when I got ready to get a car, I took that car and traded it in, and they took it. It was a down payment on the car. So I used to go to auctions all the time, but now it's popular. I'm sure if I go to an auction now, man, everybody and their mama be in there bidding stuff they don't want to be. We used to start the auction, the guy, hey, and you lift your hand, 50. Hey, I got 50, 50. Can I get 100? Can I get 100? Can I get 100? And they go through all that. I used to do that all the time. I said all that to say this. I don't think we are ever going back to doing church just normal. I believe we're going back to the four walls. I do believe that. But I don't think we're going to ever do church the same. Those now that have gotten a taste of live streaming, you got a taste of getting outside those four walls, this is the time to do it. I've been telling people for 2 or 3 years, get your website. I've been telling churches and people, get your stuff, get it. And now we've reached that point that now we see this is and this will be somewhat of the new norm. And so, invest in it. It'll be around a while. People even selling jewelry. Can you think about that? People even selling jewelry online and put 5 in the line and 10. They selling jewelry online now. I mean, it's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. And so we see a lot of stuff going on. All right. Thank y'all so much for joining me again. Thank you all. Hey, Sister Jennifer, you're right. Everything is going to be streaming. You better believe it. It's going to be the thing of the day to do streaming. And so those of you that are in ministry, whether you're pastors, evangelists, those of you in business, whatever you in, take advantage of it. It is now the new norm. The Lord bless you. The Lord keep you. Thank you so much for joining me tonight for Church Tech Talk. I'll join you and come back again. We'll do this again sometime next week. The Lord bless you and the Lord keep you is my prayer.